guys, it's Megan. Welcome back here to the Wolterman Homestead and welcome back to our kitchen. Today's video, it's kind of a fun one. It is a collaboration. So it is our favorite homestead recipe is the title of this collaboration. There are several of us doing this collaboration, so I will drop some links down in the description, so be sure to go check out some other really delicious recipes. And we also want to say thank you to Milk and Honey Acreage for starting this collaboration idea and kind of helping inspire others to share some really great recipes. So the recipe that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today is a super easy recipe. You know, a can of salmon can last a really long time. Like, the date on this is August 2020. So like, salmon is something that we always have in our cupboards, and it's just really easy to make salmon patties. So today's recipe is homemade salmon patties with homemade macaroni and cheese. It is a favorite in our house. People who've tried it love it. I have people all the time that are like, man, I want to come over to your house and have your homemade salmon patties and macaroni and cheese, just because like they miss eating it. So that is kind of what we're going to do today. It's really simple. It doesn't require a lot of ingredients, but tastes amazing. So to make salmon patties, you basically need just a little bit of ingredients. You need 1 can of salmon, some salt and pepper, a sleeve of crackers, and 1 egg. That's it for salmon patties. Really easy, right? So we're going to go ahead and crack open our can of salmon. Keep your lid on and you're going to drain the liquid. So here is kind of the nasty part, cleaning it. Some people will just mash it all up and just eat it, but I prefer to pick out some things. So I kind of just divide it. There's always seems to be like a natural line of like 2 pieces of salmon. So you have this big O scale here that just literally just peels right off. So I'm going to take that and just peel it off and just discard it. Flip it around. Sometimes there's more scaly bits on the other side. We're going to discard it as well. And then I was wrong. I popped this open. Now, sometimes it'll have 2, sometimes it'll have 1, but there's always like a row of vertebrae. So like the backbone of the fish. Now, the backbone has like been soaking in a liquid for a really long time since it's been canned. So like, you can take it and just smash it. I mean, it's really easy. So like, growing up, I remember eating it and my mom would like leave them, and so like you would just kind of bite down on it, and it was never like a taste thing, but like you'd notice it. So I prefer to pick it out. So we're going to pick out the backbone. We're going to do the same thing to the other piece. It always makes for like a fun biology lesson with the kids, showing them the parts of a fish or the parts of the body. So then you have your salmon. Now I'm going to wash my hands. Now we're going to take one of our Homestead eggs and drop it right in. Now we're going to add our crackers. I typically prefer to add the little round crackers, but like in a pinch you can use saltine crackers. You just might not want to add as much salt when you go to flavor it. So if you want to do it in the sleeve, you can, but it's easier to do it in a Ziploc bag. Drop them in, zip it up a little bit, and then we're going to crunch them. This is always the kids' favorite part. So they are outside with Dylan playing with the baby chicks. So now you've got your basically cracker crumbs. You're just going to dump them right on in. Now we're going to add our salt. It's just kind of the taste, and our pepper. If you want to add other ingredients, you can, or other seasonings. Now we're just going to mix it all up. Alright, so that looks pretty good. We're going to set that aside and start on our macaroni and cheese. While we are waiting for our water to boil, we're going to go ahead and cut up a block of cheese and get our green beans in their pot. Also, I'm going to season the water that I put my noodles in. I'm one to try and add flavor to everything. We're going to cut up our cheese chunks. This recipe can kind of vary on what you want your cheese sauce to taste like. You could use all sorts of different cheeses. I just have a whole block of sharp cheddar cheese. You could use extra sharp. I mean, you could use Kobe Jack, you could use Pepper Jack, like you could use all sorts of different cheeses for this. That's what makes it fun, is you can add different cheese to create different sorts of flavors. But we're going to roughly try and cut them up into a similar size, that way they will melt easier and evenly. This cheese sauce is also the cheese sauce that I use for potato soup. So you could make this cheese sauce and throw some potatoes in instead of noodles. You could also throw it on some like scalloped potatoes and make au gratin cheesy potatoes. So we've got all of our cheese chunks. Alrighty, so our water is getting hot here, and we're going to try and time everything so it's all done at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and throw in our pasta. The other really great thing about this recipe is it makes for great leftovers. Go ahead and turn on our green beans on medium heat. Got our pasta on medium-high heat. So we have an air fryer, so I'm going to fix these salmon patties in our air fryer. If you do not have an air fryer, don't think you can't do this recipe, because my whole life I've fried them up in a skillet. So you can get a cast iron skillet or just a regular skillet and just put a little grease in there and pop them in your hot grease and just cook them till they're golden brown, and they're delicious. But we got this air fryer for Christmas, and so I'm going to throw them in here. And it takes about 10 to 12 minutes, and they come out crispy and just delicious and perfect. So, if you're not familiar with an air fryer, you can make all sorts of things in them. It is like, other than the Instant Pot, it's one of our favorite kitchen gadgets. So, you have your air fryer itself, and then you have the tray, and then the tray has like a little plate kinda that just sits down in here that you put your things in. So I can fit, so you can typically get 6 patties out of 1 can of salmon, just to give you an idea of how many mouths that it can feed. And then salmon patties are also really great because they're really filling. Typically we eat like 1, maybe 2 salmon patties, and we're full and content for hours. So you're just going to make your patties, try and make them roughly about the same size, and just set them on your tray. So here's what the salmon patties look like. push it in. Look, y'all can see yourself. So we're going to hit the power button, and then I'm going to hit the fish, so 325 degrees, and then I'm going to set it for 10 minutes. And we'll see kind of what it looks like in about 10 minutes, and if it needs a little bit more time, we will give it some more time. Okay, so because I've made this recipe so many times, I don't necessarily have measurements. I just kind of do it. So I'm going to try and give you guys some measurements. So I've got a half a stick of butter that you're just going to let melt down. I guess I should turn this burner on. So I'm going to put it on about medium. It's between the medium and the number 6. Okay, so our butter is all totally melted. Now we're going to add the flour. So I've got about a half a cup of flour in my measuring scoop. I'm going to add a little bit and then stir it up. I'm going to add a little bit more. Not much, but a little bit. So I'd say probably a 1/3 cup of flour. So my tip for you with this is to make sure you cook your flour for a minute and make sure you get all your little dough balls gone. Otherwise, you might have some dough balls in your cheese sauce. So you're looking for kind of like a thick consistency. Now I've got 2 cups of milk here. We're going to add it and see how much more milk we might need. Give it a good stir. Don't forget to stir your pasta. You can crank the heat up on this burner. I'm going to add a little bit more milk, but not a whole lot. So probably 2.5 cups of milk. Now is where you add your cheese. Now your cheese will melt down and it'll get thicker. So some of the cheese is starting to melt. If you don't want to use a block of cheese, you could always use shredded cheese. The shredded cheese kind of melts faster sometimes, but I've just always grown up doing the block cheese. And then you're going to add some seasonings. So you're going to add some salt and some pepper. So the timer just went off on the salmon patties. So here's kind of what they look like. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 more minutes. Green beans are cooking. Our pasta is pretty much done. Once the cheese melts pretty good, it gets thick pretty quickly. Another piece of advice is that I would give you is try not to walk away from this pot for very long, because you will scald the bottom of your pan and you can burn it and it doesn't taste very good. So there's your cheese sauce. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off. We're going to drain our pasta. So once you got your pasta drained, you will dump your cheese sauce. And then just stir it up. I love making big batches of this macaroni and cheese for big family get-togethers because it just does really, really well and everybody enjoys it. And it travels really good. Look at all that cheese. Oh, that looks so good. Now we just gotta plate everything. We're all done. We are done here in the kitchen. Dinner is done. Looks delicious. Ready to sit down and eat it. So that's kind of how you make homemade salmon patties and homemade macaroni and cheese. Really easy. So thanks for watching today. Be sure to check out some of the links down below and some of the other homesteaders that are also participating in this collaboration. Thanks for joining today, guys. As always, take care and God bless.